So, hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Today is 11th of June 2026, and we'll start with today's analysis of the Hindu. Right. So let's start. So this is the now this was bound to happen, right? United States of America has again started its relentless attack on Iran because it failed to get a peace deal with Iran. Now, Donald Trump has said that if Iran is not, cooperating in the signing of this peace deal, then they have to pay a huge price for the same. Now, the point that we have to understand here is that there are key way things. The first one is United States of America, Iran, Israel, and Lebanon. As this point of time, United States of America is attacking Iran, Israel is attacking Lebanon and Iran, and Iran is attacking countries in Middle East, hosting US air bases and Israel. The most important role to be played by Lebanon, whether Israel will stop attacking southern Lebanon or not. Because until and unless Israel stops attacking southern Lebanon, there are very high chances, there are very less chances that we'll have a peace deal. Right. So this is also one important thing that we have to keep in our mind. And Donald Trump is basically trying to force Iran for a peace deal, which Iran is not, comfortable with. And Iran have made it absolutely clear that until and unless there is a total ceasefire in the Lebanon, they will not sign any kind of peace deal. Also, although they have agreed that they will stop their nuclear program, they have no ambitions of building a nuclear weapon, which was the main demand of the US government. But with the change in time, with the passage of time, a lot of additional things have been added by the Trump administration for a peace deal in Iran. And the effect of this entire war is basically the closure of Strait of Hormuz. And we have discussed it multiple times, the impact of closure of Strait of Hormuz on global economy, how it is hurting the global economy, right? Now moving, and at this point of time we have nothing new to discuss in this article, because first Israel will attack Lebanon, then Iran will attack Israel, then America will attack Iran, then Iran will attack all the countries in the Middle East hosting US air bases and military bases. So this is a kind of a chain event which is taking place throughout the time. Now students, let's move to the next point, and this is a very unfortunate obituary. We'll discuss it on page number uh, 3 and 5. He's a very renowned Tamil director, Bharti Raja, who passed away at the age of 84. We'll discuss this as well. Now, this is something which has, uh, you know, caused a great problem for Indian government, because a recent precision attack by uh, a US warship has caused substantial damage to a ship named Stabilo. And in this particular attack, two Indian officers have lost their life, while one officer is still missing. This attack was conducted by US forces, and the claim was, and why the reason was, they said this particular ship named Stabilo was trying to cross Strait of Hormuz despite a naval blockade by US Navy. And this ship was sailing to China. And United States forces also made a very important claim that giving several warnings, despite giving several warnings, the ship didn't stop. So they have to attack. Now, this might escalate things because this was heading towards China. This ship, was taking crude oil to China, and in this particular attack, three Indians have lost their lives. Two are confirmed dead, while one is still missing. Now, moving on to the next point, and after this particular attack, India has summoned India has summoned the US Embassy's Deputy Chief of Mission, Mr. Jason Meeks, and lodged a strong protest after the hit. So it was bound to happen that if there is, such kind of incident, then you will definitely either you will call the ambassador or other high officials from the embassy, and you will lodge your protest against the same. Now, students, at the same point of time, we do have to understand one thing, that this entire fiasco happening in the Strait of Hormuz is very important for India as well, because we know this, that we used to import a lot of LPG, which used to pass from Strait of Hormuz. इसीलिए अभी देखिए आप कि स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मूज के क्लोजर की वजह से द गवर्नमेंट हैज इंक्रीज द प्राइसेस ऑफ क्रूड ऑयल एंड एलपीजी एज वेल, और एलपीजी का जो प्राइसेस है वो सब्सटैंशियली ज़्यादा बढ़ाया गया, क्योंकि जो हमारा मैक्सिमम एलपीजी इंपोर्ट होता था वो कहाँ से होता था, स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मूज के थ्रू थ्रू ही इंपोर्ट होता था, राइट. सो दैट इज़ वन इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. नाउ अगेन दीज आर वेरी uh, small events which might change the course of this entire war happening in the Middle East. But from academics perspective, I mean, there is nothing relevant as such. If you want to remember, you may remember the name of this ship, Stabilo. It was heading towards China. Three Indian marine officers were killed. Two have been confirmed dead, where one is still missing. And after that, India has lodged a strong complaint with the US Embassy's Deputy Chief of Mission, Mr. Jason Meeks. Right. So this is something which might be important for your examination. Now, the third important news that we have on page number one, or the front page, is that the Election Commission of India has rejected the Rajya Sabha nomination of a candidate, Meenakshi Natarajan. And this she filed her nomination from Madhya Pradesh uh, seat, but her resignation was her nomination was rejected on a very simple ground, that she concealed, or she hid a criminal case against her, right. And after this particular fact came into light, it was basically Bharatiya Janata Party who lodged the complaint with the Election Commission of India, that she has not revealed the complete statistics. She has a criminal case against her, and after Election Commission of India did some deep scrutiny, they confirmed the fact asserted by the Bharatiya Janata Party, and eventually the Rajya Sabha nomination of Mr. Meenakshi Natarajan was quashed. And after this, the Indian National Congress have decided that they will approach to the Supreme Court related to this specific rejection of Rajya Sabha nomination. And students, the impact of this rejection would be that Bharatiya Janata Party will now have a fair chance of winning this particular seat, right. So again, I mean, we can't do much about it. Referring to provisions of the Representation of People's Act, Mr. Singhvi said the EC's own law had section 33A, which stated that one has to disclose only those cases which have a punishment of over 2 years, and more importantly, only those cases in which charges have been framed. The process of framing charges is a judicial process. A judge frames charges. A private complaint may be baseless, may have no legs to stand on, and the second stage is taking up cognizance by the magistrate. The Congress leader said the party has requested an urgent intervention from the commission, as Wednesday was the last day for withdrawal of nominations. This is a completely egregious and blatantly unlawful order and should be set aside immediately, is our request. He said, Mr. Singhvi said that EC's intervention was necessary to preserve a level playing field in the elections, warning that failure to reverse the decision would create a highly skewed system in a democratic elections. So basically, Mr. Singhvi said that there is an exception under the Representation of People's Act, and section 33A basically says this: only those information related to only those cases must be revealed देर आर टू कैटेगरीज जिनमें कैंडिडेट को अपने अगेंस्ट जो जो भी क्रिमिनल चार्जेस है उनकी रिपोर्ट उनका इंफॉर्मेशन रिवील करना रहता है. फर्स्ट, which stated that one has to disclose only those cases which have a punishment of, the first category is as per section 33A, punishment of over 2 years, and only those cases in which charges have been framed. So what do we mean by this charges have been framed? It simply means once a complaint is lodged, the police conducts the preliminary inquiry or the preliminary investigation, and after conducting the preliminary investigation, the authorities will press charges which they find true, absolutely true in nature. Now let's take one example. There were multiple FIRs against a person related to the commission of various offenses, or there was a single FIR against a person regarding the commission of multiple offenses. Now after investigation, the police authorities find out that the person has not committed these many offenses, but he has only committed one or two offenses, right? So initially, the charges or the allegations which are raised in FIR might be different from the charges which are being pressed by the police investigating authorities. Right now, the second important point that we have to understand, after these charges are being framed, इन्हीं charges के basis पर trial court में accused का trial start होता है. So these are the two different conditions where it is mandatory for a person to reveal his criminal antecedent. It is given in section 33 of Representation of People's Act, and these two incidents are where the punishment is of over 2 years and charges have been framed by the investigating agencies. And in this particular case, the Rajya Sabha nomination from Madhya Pradesh of Meenakshi Natarajan was rejected because she did not disclose her complete criminal antecedent in the nomination paper. Now moving on to, and today we'll have a quiz on the Indian polity as well. It's very important. We have to do it in detail. Now central government has, and after Chandrababu Naidu's relentless support for NDA at the central level, NDA government is basically giving a lot of projects to the capital of Andhra Pradesh. Amravati has got another important project worth 2,533 crore from the union government. Right, 2,533 crore facilities to be built for central staff in Amravati, and this is basically a housing project which had a net worth, which has a total cost of 2,533 crore. And this particular project will, housing project will staff the central government employees working in Amravati, which is the capital of Andhra Pradesh. Then a legendary director, film director, Bharati Raja, has passed away at the age of 84 in Chennai. He was suffering from some illness for a very long period of time, and he was very famous, right? And he was basically he was known as pinnacle of directors among the Tamil cinema. So he was actually very popular. Now moving on to the next point. Courts cannot be mute spectators when well-being of voiceless animal is at stake. So finally, the Supreme Court of India on Wednesday pronounced a very important order, or delivered a very important order regarding the welfare of animals. The Supreme Court said that it will take serious actions. It cannot be a mute spectator when it's about the welfare of the voiceless animals. And recent case involved an elephant in Kerala. So observing that courts cannot remain mute spectators when the well-being of voiceless animal is at stake, the Supreme Court has directed the Kerala government to take custody of Uttoli Raman. Now the name of this elephant is extremely relevant. Uttoli Raman, a well-known elephant in the state, and shipped it to a rescue and rehabilitation center pending a final decision on its ownership. The Supreme Court bench said it was compelled to pass the direction after finding that the tusker had been subjected to commercial exploitation and used in rituals despite an earlier order prohibiting it. So there was already an order which basically prohibited prohibited commercial exploitation of Uttoli Raman, the elephant, but this particular order was not given due consideration, and after that the Supreme Court of India has said that it has to become the voice of voiceless animals. When the welfare of voiceless animals is at stake, the Supreme Court must intervene. And they have also ordered that it must be kept in a rescue and rehabilitation center until the fact related to the ownership of this elephant is decided. Once the fact related to the animal ownership of this animal is decided, then ultimately the owner has to take the custody of this animal, right? So this is the current proposal of the Supreme Court, and it is going to be a very progressive judgment as well. Now moving on to the next part. Now on 10th of June 2026, Prime Minister Narendra Modi became the longest serving elected Prime Minister of our country, surpassing Jawaharlal Nehru. Now, students, this is also very important. The fact that who is the longest serving Prime Minister. So your answer would be obviously Narendra Modi. He is the longest serving elected Prime Minister. For the first time, he became Prime Minister in 2014, and this is his third successive term. And he surpassed the first Prime Minister, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru was in office for 4,398 days, and Mr. Modi on 10th of June 2026 surpassed his record. And all these dignitaries, high-end dignitaries, are congratulating Mr. Modi for his, 12-year bright and shiny tenure as the Prime Minister. And also the world leaders are also congratulating Mr. Modi for this remarkable achievement, right? That and in a country like India, which is the largest democracy in the world, actually it is a remarkable feat to stay in office for like 12 13 years, and he's still in the office, and he has absolutely all the numbers to stay in powers till 2029, which is very much which is very much possible, right? Because now they have 20 more MPs from Trinamool Congress who will support National Democratic Alliance in Lok Sabha. So their number is increasing day by day, right? So this is again and everyone is congratulating with one thing, keeping one thing in mind: the vision of 2047. The most important vision of Narendra Modi is to Viksit Bharat by 2047, developed India by 2047, and India wants to become a $30 trillion economy by 2047. That is the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Modi is presiding over the murder of democracy. Union cabinet passes resolution praising PM for reaching a milestone of becoming the longest serving elected Prime Minister of our country. And Bengal and the Chief Minister of Bengal, Mr. Suvendu Adhikari, while distributing the portfolio, has kept Home Ministry with himself. Now, moving on to the next point. I mean, you can see two important news items related to Trinamool Congress. I mean, there is no relation per se between these two news items, but again, it will give you a very grim picture what is happening in West Bengal. So the first one is another member of parliament from Rajya Sabha, Susmita Devi, has resigned from the from her post, and also she has resigned as the speaker, as the chairman, sorry, as the member of the Rajya Sabha. This is the first setback for the Trinamool Congress, and Trinamool Congress is facing so many problems at this point of time that they are not able to find a solution for anything. And out of 29 MPs, basically 20 have decided that they will join Bharatiya Janata Party, and the announcement can be made at any point of time. And the second one is Trinamool Congress have moved to the Calcutta High Court regarding the recent search by criminal investigation department at the party office, right? So I mean, a lot of people are saying that all these 20 MPs, I mean opposition is saying that these 20 MPs are defecting from Trinamool Congress and joining Bharatiya Janata Party because they have certain apprehensions that now Mr. Suvendu Adhikari is in state, ab double engine ki sarkar ho gayi hai. So a lot of FIRs, a lot of criminal charges will be initiated against these MPs if they will not join Bharatiya Janata Party. But as such, all these members who are not happy with the working style of Trinamool Congress has said and have made it absolutely clear that they are not happy with the style of working, with the working style of Abhishek Banerjee and Mamta Banerjee, right? And also there are serious allegations on Mamta Banerjee that she was promoting her nephew Abhishek Banerjee so much that he started to interfere so much in the party functioning that finally. Please, yes, Bharva, you can share your problems and everything in the doubt section, right? Now, this entire page is about this legendary Tamil director Bharati Raja. And I mean, if you are a movie geek, then you can definitely uh, uh, read all about Mr. Bharati Raja. Now, this is actually important. It is related to delimitation. Now, students, let's talk about delimitation a bit. So, on 16th of April, Government of India or the Parliament of India or the Union government brought two important amendments, and these two amendments were basically, the first one was known as 131st Constitutional Amendment Act 2026, and the other one was Delimitation Bill 2026. Now, for a very long period of time, a lot of discussion is taking place around delimitation. So let's talk about delimitation as well. Now, the first point related to delimitation, this is a very basic piece of information. What is delimitation? Now, anyone who would like to answer the question, it's a very basic question. What is delimitation? Anyone who would like to answer the question, what is delimitation? Delimitation. Okay. So let's start our discussion with delimitation. We'll come back to this specific portion of the article and the latest stage. First, let's understand what is delimitation. So delimitation means rearranging the boundaries of constituencies, right? Now, students, we know this. With the change in time, population or demographic, population structure of every constituency is changes, right? So just to ensure that there is a proportional representation, this delimitation exercise is being conducted, right? Fixing limits or boundaries of territorial constituencies. That's absolutely correct. Yes, Bharava, I'm still waiting for your question, right? Now, moving on to the next point when we talk about delimitation. So, this is the very basic definition of delimitation. Now, moving on to the next point. So, delimitation is always conducted as per the population census. This is something which you have to keep, or which you have to give enough consideration. Now, moving on to the next point related to delimitation and delimitation commission. So, this delimitation is always conducted by the delimitation commission. You have to remember this. Delimitation is always conducted by a commission which is known as delimitation commission. And who is the current chairperson of delimitation commission of India? Delimitation commission, Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai. Right. Now, moving on to the next point related to the delimitation commission. Delimitation commission is appointed by, delimitation commission is always appointed by President of India. These are a few facts related to delimitation commission. You may write down these two facts. Then we can move to the next aspect. And basically the basic task of the delimitation commission is to redraw the boundaries of the constituencies, right? Now another important article or another important framework or information related to delimitation commission, that as per article 82 of the Indian constitution, as per article 82 of the Indian constitution, Parliament of India, here I'm not saying government of India, it's Parliament of India, will enact a delimitation act after every population census, right? And article 172, article 170 is related to redrawing of boundaries, redrawing of boundaries of state assemblies. तो डिलिमिटेशन सिर्फ और सिर्फ पार्लियामेंट कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज के लिए नहीं, जो स्टेट असेंबली की कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज होती हैं उनके लिए भी होता है, ठीक है? ये भी आप प्लीज याद रखिएगा. नाउ मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. And as per the last recommendation of the delimitation commission, the current composition of the Lok Sabha is 543, and till after independence, students, please remember this, after independence, total 4 times delimitation has taken place. This is also important, has taken place. And always remember the composition of this delimitation commission. What is the composition? Anyone? What is the composition of the delimitation commission of India? What is the composition of the delimitation commission? Anyone? So let's talk about the composition as well. You may write down these these points. Then we can move to the composition of the delimitation commission. Can we move to the next part? Okay. Composition of the delimitation commission. A retired Supreme Court judge as a chairperson. Second, member, Chief Election Commissioner, CEC of India, Chief Election Commissioner of India, and other members. And who are the other members? Chief Election Officers of State. So this is the composition of the delimitation commission, which is extremely relevant. And who is the current chairperson of the delimitation commission? So the current chairperson of the delimitation commission is Ranjana Prakash Desai. Now moving on to the next important point, it is related to the powers of the delimitation commission. Now delimitation commission is students interested with one of the most important responsibilities, to fix the boundaries of the parliamentary and the state legislative assembly constituencies, right? At the same time, we have to understand that the decision or order given by DC stands for delimitation commission is final and it cannot be reversed, and it cannot be reversed. Basically, it is binding. I mean, let's take one example that the Delimitation Commission, which has been recently constituted, gave certain recommendations regarding the fixing of boundaries. Now, Parliament of India is not happy with those recommendations, so the Parliament of India cannot enact a law to change the recommendations given by the Honorable Delimitation Commission, because the recommendations given by the Delimitation Commission are absolutely final and no one can change it, right? The next delimitation is set to take place after this after the next census, which is scheduled to take place in, I guess, the reports of the census, next population census are out. So this is about information about the delimitation. So we know this, that the Parliament of India is basically will increase the number of Lok Sabha seats from current 543 to 850. This was the earlier bifurcation of the seats from 543 to 850. Now the next important point is 815 seats were reserved for the states and 35 seats were reserved for the different union territories, right? Now moving on to the next point, अभी तक सिर्फ 4 बार डिलिमिटेशन हुआ है, 4 बार डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन कॉन्स्टिट्यूट हुआ है, और कब कब हुआ है? 52, 62, 72 एंड 2002. ठीक है, तो अभी तक 4 टाइम्स डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन कॉन्स्टिट्यूट हुआ है, एंड दीज 4 टाइम्स आर 1952, 1962, 1972 एंड 2002. तो अगर आप बहुत क्लोजली ऑब्जर्व करेंगे तो हमारे यहाँ पे 1951 में सेंसस हुआ, फिर 1961 में हुआ, फिर 1971 में हुआ, फिर 2000, उसका 1981 1991 में भी हुआ, बट 1971 के बाद 1976 में डिलिमिटेशन पर क्या किया गया था? फ्रीज लगा दिया गया था. आफ्टर 42nd कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्ट 1976, the delimitation exercise was frozen till 2002, and after this delimitation commission of 2002, again the next delimitation was frozen till 2026 after the 84th constitutional amendment act, right? So this is a brief journey of the delimitation commission, students. If you want to write all these points, you can write down, then we can move to the next point which we have to discuss in today's analysis, right? So these are the 3 slides related to the delimitation commission which are of extreme importance: third, second and first, right? It's the background, then the composition and every other thing. This is the composition, and this is the powers, decisions, concern article, and this is the composition, decision given by the delimitation commission, and how many times the delimitation commission has been constituted. Now students, if you have loved this particular concept till this point of time, if you are getting my point, then at the end of this class you have to give it a thumbs up, right? Panel recommends targeted splitting of seats for next delimitation exercise. So the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, EACPM, Economically Advisory Council, basically एक PM की एक जो internal core body होती है, advisory body होती है, उसका एक ये भी aspect होता है Economic Advisory Council. Now Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister has recommended targeted splitting of seats for next delimitation exercise. Now what is targeted splitting? तो टारगेटेड स्प्लिटिंग का मतलब यह है कि जो बहुत बड़ी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज हैं, बिग कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज must be split into 2 and 3. This is the only relevance of this article कि टारगेटेड स्प्लिटिंग का मतलब क्या, कि जो बड़ी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज हैं उनका जो एरिया है वो बहुत बड़ा है, या उसमें पॉपुलेशन बहुत ज्यादा है किसी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में, तो उसे हमें स्प्लिट कर देना चाहिए 2 या 3 लोकसभा सीट्स में. एज पर द लेटेस्ट रिकमेंडेशंस, out of the existing 543 seats, the Economically Advisory Council to the Prime Minister model suggests splitting a total of 170 seats, of which 59 constituencies have been recommended for a 2-way split and 111 constituencies for a 3-way split. So total 117 seats को bifurcate करने के लिए, split करने के लिए कहा है, and out of this 170, 59 को बोला है 2 seats में split करने के लिए, और 111 को बोला है 3 seats में split करने के लिए. And this will result in total number of seats at 824. 4, right? Now it will have less severe impact on the southern state, because we know for a very long period of time southern states were claiming that see, Parth, Jeff, right? I was asking, or I was telling you about in which year the Delimitation Commission was constituted, right? Because Delimitation Commission is only constituted after delimitation or after the exercise of census, right? So the first population census in independent India took place in 1951. So it is 1952, then 1961, then 1962, then 1971, then 1972, and eventually it came down to 2002, right? So this is the current order, which I guess which is actually true. I was telling you about in which year the Delimitation Commission was constituted, right? So this is the targeted splitting of seats that the Economically Advisory Council to the Prime Minister office has recommended, that there are certain parliamentary constituencies which are way too big, and they have identified total 170 such seats, and out of these 170 such seats, 59 seats must be split into two, and 111 seats must be split into three, right? This is the recommendations of the Economically Advisory Council to the Prime Minister of India, and southern states will not have that kind of serious impact if we compare to the regular model which was suggested as per the Delimitation Bill 2026. Now moving on to the next point, and now we are moving into the editorial section. And today's quiz is very interesting. I mean, you will love this quiz. I mean, it is purely based on the Indian polity. There are 11 questions. शगुन के आज हमने 11 सवाल कर लिए, क्योंकि कल हमारा सेशन हो नहीं पाया था because of some unavoidable circumstances. It happened for the first time in last 40 days that we couldn't have our session. So just to compensate that, I decided that I'll do 11 questions today, and those 11 questions are important for CLAT and all other one-day law entrance examinations, right? So we know this, basically today is 11th of June 2026, and tomorrow would be 12th of June 2026. So today um, we basically completed the first year of Air India crash. Air India crash which claimed more than 280 lives. Everyone on board was killed except one British Indian citizen. Now, even after a year, for today we'll complete 1 year of this tragic incident. And even after 1 year, the report of this flight crash has not been released. There are certain serious speculations, and these speculations are not leading us to in a good direction. Right? Earlier, there were certain claims that the fuel switch was it was it was something which was disturbed by the pilots of the this Air India flight AI 171, कि पायलट ने खुद से कट ऑफ कर दिया था फ्यूल स्विच को, बट प्रिलिमिनरी इन्वेस्टिगेशन के बाद वो जो एक एप्रीहेंशन था उसको खत्म किया गया, बट द कंप्लीट रिपोर्ट इज येट टू बी मेड पब्लिक. इट्स बीन 1 year. अर्लियर इट वाज सेड कि जो ब्लैक बॉक्स का डेटा होता है वो इतना इमेंस हीट में वो बहुत सीवियर तरीके से डैमेज हो गया, एंड वी डोंट हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर टू decrypt the black box. So it was sent to the United States of America. Now the problem is all the families, the victims are basically not the victims' families are basically not getting any kind of substantial result out of all these things, because at the end of the day the government of India has all the possible resources, and if it is willing to, then it can easily you know uh, investigate such a plane crash, and the reports are not out. So जब तक रिपोर्ट आउट नहीं होगी तब तक ये सारे क्या होंगे, जो स्पेकुलेशंस होंगे वो ऐसे के ही ऐसे होते रहेंगे. 1 साल हो चुका है. लास्ट ईयर क्लैट 2026 में ऑलरेडी एक पैसेज इससे पूछा जा चुका है. सो देयर आर वेरी लेस चांसेस दैट क्लैट बैक टू बैक उन चीज़ों को रिपीट करेगा. और नाउ moving on to the next point. Protecting federalism must be India bloc's glue. So when we talk about the principle of federalism, students, I'll just explain you in brief about it. Principle of federalism is basically the division of power between center and state. Division of power between center and state is known as the principle of federalism, and the principle of federalism is manifested through division of power between center and state is termed as federalism. The other important principle, the idea of federalism is manifested through the seventh schedule of the Indian Constitution. So, what is seventh schedule? So, seventh schedule talks about three lists: list one, list two, and list three. List one is basically union list. List two is state list, and list three is concurrent list. Now, the entries which are given in state union list, specific for सिर्फ union government law बना सकती है. The entries which are given in the state list, only state government is empowered to make the laws, and list three, both central and the state governments are empowered to make laws. It is manifested through seventh schedule. And also the next important point, the Supreme Court of India, the Honorable Supreme Court of India, in a judgment SR Bommai versus Union of India. This judgment was delivered in 1994. SR Bommai versus Union of India, the Supreme Court held that federalism is the basic structure, or is the part of the basic structure, and it cannot be changed at any given point of time. What is the difference between decentralization and federation? That's a very important question. What is the what is the difference between decentralization and federation? I'll repeat my question. I'll repeat my question. What is the difference between decentralization and federation? So the basic difference between decentralization and uh, federation is that basically decentralization is division of administrative power, right? It is more in administrative in nature, whereas when we talk about the principle of federalism, it is the constitutional division of power between center and state, right? And decentralization is basically more informal in nature, whereas federation or federalism is more formal in nature. That is one primary difference between Laksh, decentralization and federation. Right. If you have any further question, if you want to, ask some extended question, then you may ask that too. I'll answer it with the utmost um, honesty and dedication. So in SR Bommai versus Union of India, the Supreme Court said that the federalism is the basic part of the Constitution of India, and it cannot be altered at any given point of time. So this article is basically talking about protecting federalism must be India bloc's glue, that all these member of parliaments from other political parties are basically what they are doing. They are joining Bharatiya Janata Party. So ultimately it will dilute the very established principle of federalism. So it is the responsibility of NDA bloc to India bloc, protecting federalism must be the India bloc's glue. So if India bloc is not able to prevent these defections, then ultimately it will severely impact the principle of federalism, because when we talk about the principle of federalism, a strong state is an imperative of a strong federalism. So if you want a strong federalism, you should have a strong state government infrastructure. If state governments are not that powerful, then the principle of federalism will be diluted, right? Now moving on to the next article in the text and the context section, and we have the reality behind falling net FDI. So FDI is basically students foreign direct investment, FII is foreign institutional investment. These are two acronyms which might be very important for your examinations. FDI, foreign direct investment, and FII, foreign institutional investment. In this particular article, the author of this article is basically talking about how the FDI, the amount of FDI has been reduced in India, and it is falling day by day. Now there are various type of FDIs. There are basically three types of FDIs which have been discussed in this article, and I'll tell you about those types of FDIs, and eventually you will understand that why FDIs, for foreign direct investment, is falling day by day. Now, now what is balance of payments? So balance of payment is basically import minus export. आपने जितना सामान खरीदा है उसमें से आपने कितना सामान बेचा है, ये चीज अगर आप माइनस कर दें, you will get balance of payment, right? Now moving on to the next point. So in 2020-21 FDI was at its peak at $44 billion का investment हुआ था, because post COVID Indian economy was booming like anything, and it was a great market. So every major investor thought that we should invest more and more money in the Indian economy. So a lot of money was pumped in into the Indian economy, right? Now moving on to the next point. There are three types of FDIs. The first category is real FDI, RFDI, consisting of traditional multinational enterprises with technology, brands, and capabilities to establish production and services. These generally represents long term commitments. So the first kind of FDI is that, let's take one example. There is a company called Apple ने क्या किया या Google ने क्या किया, उन्होंने अपना कोई डेटा सर्विस सेंटर या कोई सर्वर या कोई प्रोडक्शन प्लांट जो है वो इंडिया में उन्होंने एस्टैब्लिश कर दिया. सो इट इज ऑल्सो अ काइंड ऑफ फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट. Some foreign company, some company from other countries coming to India to make or build some kind of infrastructure, right? So it is the first kind of FDI, and it is known as RFDI, real foreign direct investment. The second category is, it includes financial investors, including private equity funds, venture capital firms, sovereign wealth funds, and asset managers. Their main goal is capital growth and planned exits. So the second types of FDI is basically, the second type of FDI is also very important. Basically the second type of FDI you can feel, ये हम जैसे लोग जो होते हैं, जो ट्रेडर्स होते हैं, बेसिकली जो स्टॉक मार्केट में ट्रेडिंग करते हैं, कि उन्होंने कोई एक शेयर खरीदा, अब वो एक वेट कर रहे थे कि मैंने ये शेयर 500 रुपए का खरीदा, जब भी ये शेयर 750 का हो जाएगा मैं इसको बेच दूंगा. तो सेकेंड कैटेगरी का जो एफडीआई होता है, वो ये जो ट्रेडर्स, वेल्थ मैनेजर्स होते हैं या जो इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड्स होते हैं, वो इन्वेस्ट करते हैं इंडियन स्टॉक मार्केट में, और जब उनको लगता है दैट दिस इज द राइट टाइम, देन दे विल टेक द एग्जिट. So this is the second kind of FDI. So there was a moment when Indian stock market was performing so good. So a lot of these wealth management funds and investment houses, they took exit from the Indian market, making huge profits. Then there is a third category. The third category includes diaspora investment and special purpose vehicles. These involves capital raised abroad and funneled through offshore financial centers, sometimes including the round tripping of Indian funds. So basically, now what is a special purpose vehicle? So a special purpose vehicle is something which is created for which is created for the completion or the performance of a specific task, right? So special purpose vehicles, or जो इंडियन डायस्पोरा है उसके थ्रू जो इन्वेस्टमेंट इंडिया में आता है, इट इज बेसिकली द थर्ड कैटेगरी. नाउ मूविंग ऑन. Data on remittance level FDI from the past 4 years, from 2022-23 to 2025-26 up to December, shows that RFDI made up 41.9% of effective inflows. Financial investors followed closely with a 45.5% of shares, while the remaining 17.6% came from the diaspora and SPVs linked to India. Now, this is something which we should not be bothered about much, because at the end of the day, the global economy is going through a rough patch because of this West Asian conflict. So once the market will gain its momentum, India will again get a lot of foreign direct investment, because we are set to become a $30 trillion economy by 2047. It means that within next 21 years, India will multiply its economy by 7.5 times. So India is a great investment opportunity for every country, because in next 4 years, by 2030, we are set to become a $10 trillion economy. That given, if we compare it with the current level, it means that we'll grow minimum 2.5 times in next 4 years. So it is something which everyone knows, right? So India is a better alternative. It's not basically a choice given to, or it's not an option. India is India is a definite option. India is something which every country should India is something where every country should invest a lot of money, because they will eventually get a lot of will make a lot of profit. So Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, the current prime minister of Israel, under whose regime this entire conflict is taking place, has decided, his political party, Liquid Party, has decided that he will again participate or in the next elections. Pak army copter crashes in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, killing all on board. So, and also this is something which India has condemned at the United Nations, that the relentless attack, relentless. Anyone can tell me that this is helpful for MSc of 5 year LLB? It is very helpful, right? Any examination, जिसका part current affairs और GK है, trust me on that, newspaper analysis is the most important source of information. Because at the end of the day, I'll never say this, and I never support this ki you should have an analysis, you should watch an analysis of 80, 85, 90 minutes. That is of no use. What you should do, that within 1 hour, we'll try to do analysis within 1 hour, और हम उसी 1 hour में क्या करते हैं, 10 to 11 क्वेश्चन हम डेली सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करते हैं. तो अगर अभी भी क्लैट में, जैसे हम आज से अगर हम मान लें, वी हैव ऑलमोस्ट 170 डेज, तो 170 डेज में आप अभी भी आप 170 डेज में ऑलमोस्ट हम 140 के आसपास सेशंस लेंगे, जिसमें हम ऑलमोस्ट ऑलमोस्ट 1600 क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करेंगे. और हम ऑलरेडी अप्रॉक्सीमेटली हम लोग ऑलरेडी 200 to 250 क्वेश्चन हम ऑलरेडी क्लासेस में सॉल्व कर चुके हैं ड्यूरिंग दीज एनालिसिस सेशंस, राइट. सो दिस इज वन वे टू डू थिंग्स, कि छोटा छोटा करके हम अपनी पूरी जर्नी को कंप्लीट करेंगे, राइट. So this relentless strike by the Pakistani Air Force in Afghanistan is creating a lot of international chaos again. India has severely condemned this attack on Afghanistan by Pakistan, and India has said that it will firmly support Afghanistan, and it will keep on developing more welfare projects. It will keep on starting more welfare projects in Afghanistan. And do remember one point, that this Durand line separates Pakistan and Afghanistan. It is Durand line, right? Then UN nuclear watchdog, International Atomic Energy Agency, demands cooperation. Board demands Iran cooperation in the UN atomic watchdog. So basically, international atomic watchdog का नाम क्या है? IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, headquartered in Vienna, Austria. And his director general is, who is the current director general? Rafael jet wala Rafael Mariano Rossi. So IAEA has said that Iran should cooperate when it comes to providing all the data and all the visits to the different sites where they are you know there was claim that they were enriching uranium. Right. So this is all about today's analysis. Now let's come back to the interesting part, the other interesting aspect of everyday's analysis, and it is basically the quiz that we are going to solve in today's class. Please be very responsive at this point of time. 18 students are watching this particular video, and I want everybody at the end of this class, if you have loved this class, then do like the video. That we say every day, that please do like the video. At the end of this class, we should have at least 25 to 30 likes on this video. But again, moving on to this particular question answer section now, this is actually very important, and we'll solve one by one each and every question which has been discussed here. So let's start with the first question that we have with us, and the first question is, which constitutional provision dictates that the form in which the accounts of the union and states are kept must be based on the advice of the comptroller and auditor general? Again, the wordings or the framing of this question is extremely relevant. This is quite visible on your screen. You may read your question and then you can answer it in the chat box. Then I'll tell you the correct option. Which constitutional provision dictates that the form in which the accounts of the union and states are kept must be based on the advice of the CAG? So we have four options for this article. Option A, Article 149, option B, Article 150, option C, Article 151, and option D, Article 279. So for students, for question number 1, the correct option is option B, Article 150. Article 150. Basically, Article 148 tells you about the Office of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Office of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India is basically a constitutional office, right? So that is also very relevant. So for question number 1, the correct option is option B, Article 150. Any other information related to Article 150 which you might feel that it is important? And Article 150 basically prescribes that these accounts must be kept in the format prescribed by the President of India. Now moving to question number 2, under Article 151, to whom must the CAG submitted his formal audit reports relating to the accounts of a specific state? The governor of this state, the chief minister of this state, the speaker of the state legislative assembly, or the president of India? You have to tell me, as per Article 151, to whom must the CAG submit his formal audit report relating to the accounts of a specific state? The governor of the state, the chief minister of the state, the speaker of the state legislative assembly, or the president of India? Basically, students, the office of the comptroller and auditor general of India has been entrusted with a very big responsibility. Basically, they act as a watchdog on the government spending. गवर्नमेंट की जो भी अलग अलग मिनिस्ट्रीज हैं, जो भी वो पब्लिक मनी को स्पेंड कर रहे हैं, उस मनी को स्क्रूटिनाइज करना और उसका प्रॉपर ऑडिट रिकॉर्ड मेंटेन करना इज द मेन रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द कंट्रोलर एंड Auditor General of India. And when it comes to the state government, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India has to submit his report to the or with the governor of that concerned state. Then the governor of that state will present that report on the floor of the state legislative assembly. Right. Moving on to the third question, because see, parliament or state legislative assembly is the forum where elected people, uh, people elected by the uh, citizens of this country पार्टिसिपेट. सो दैट इज द प्लेटफॉर्म जहां से आप पूरे स्टेट या पार्लियामेंट से आप पूरे इंडिया को बताते हैं कि गवर्नमेंट की स्पेंडिंग कैसे रही, क्योंकि प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया विल प्रेजेंट दिस रिपोर्ट of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India on the floor of the House. Now, which permanent legislative committee of Parliament is closely supported by the Comptroller and Auditor General, making him its guide, friend, and philosopher? Estimates Committee, the Public Accounts Committee, the Committee on Public Undertakings, and the Standing Committee on Finance. Recently, we had discussed a lot about this particular committee when we discussed about certain discrepancies, and in the not discrepancies, when we discussed that there's a committee which has highlighted the fact कि एक स्कीम थी प्रधानमंत्री कौशल विकास योजना. इट वाज लॉन्च इन 2015 and the main objective of that particular scheme was to develop skills amongst the youth of this country. और जो मैक्सिमम स्पेंडिंग गवर्नमेंट की हुई है वो ऐसे स्किल्स पर हुई है जिसकी डिमांड मार्केट में ज़्यादा नहीं है. तो आपको ये बताना होगा कि विच पर्टिकुलर लेजिस्लेटिव कमिटी इज नोन एज गाइड, फ्रेंड एंड फिलोसफर ऑफ कंट्रोलर एंड ऑडिटर जनरल, द एस्टिमेट्स कमिटी, द पब्लिक अकाउंट्स कमिटी, द कमिटी ऑन पब्लिक अंडरटेकिंग्स, और द स्टैंडिंग कमिटी ऑन फाइनेंस. So the correct answer for this particular question, question number 3, anyone would like to answer question number 3? So the correct answer for question number 3 is option B. Option B, the Public Accounts Committee, because the main objective of the Public Accounts Committee is to scrutinize the government expenditure, right? So that's why the functions of Comptroller and Auditor General of India and the Public Accounts Committee are of same nature. That's why it is said the Public Accounts Committee is a friend, guide, and philosopher of Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Now, which specific part of the Constitution of India sets out the comprehensive legal parameters for emergency provision? Now, this is actually very important and you have to answer it with utmost conviction. Now, I'll repeat my question again. Which specific part of the Constitution of India sets out the comprehensive legal parameters for emergency provision? Part 16, Part 17, Part 18, or Part 20? Part 16, Part 17, Part 18, or Part 20? Which is the correct option for question number 4? So for question number 4, students, the correct option is our option C, Part 18, Part 18, Article 352 to 360 talks about the provisions related to emergency. Now there are few more things which I'd like to tell you. Article 352, 356 and 360. So Article 352 talks about national emergency. Article 356 talks about state emergency or president's rule. And Article 360 talks about financial emergency. Please remember this. Article 350 has been invoked thrice. नेशनल इमरजेंसी अभी तक इंडिया में 3 बार लगी है, स्टेट इमरजेंसी बहुत बार लगी है, और फाइनेंशियल इमरजेंसी 0 times. And one last information, there is one more article which is basically which talks about the ground for the imposition of the president rule, and that is Article 365. Although it is not the part of the chapter of emergency or the, but again it's relevant because Article 365 states this, that if any state government is not complying with the directions given by the union government, then it can be a ground for the imposition of the president rule, because ultimately it tells you a fact that the constitutional machinery in state have failed. That's why it is not complying with the directions given by the union government. So Article 352 is for national emergency, imposed thrice. Article 356 is for national emergency or the president rule. It has been imposed multiple times. And there is another important article related to the state emergency, and that is Article 365, that if any state is not complying with the directions given by the union government, then it can be a ground for the president rule. And finally, we have financial emergency under Article 360. It has been imposed 0 times. There was only one instance where we are this close, but then Manmohan Singh came as a savior and he brought LPG policy, and we avoided the financial emergency. Now moving on to question number 5, the next important question, question number 5. Which constitutional amendment act replaced the, now I'll repeat my question again, and anyone who'll answer question number 5 will get a 5-star from my side, definitely. Which constitutional amendment act replaced the expression internal disturbance with the phrase armed rebellion under Article 352? Anyone? We have 4 options for this question. 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976, 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978, 86th Constitutional Amendment Act 2002, and 91st Constitutional Amendment Act 2003. Which is the correct option for question number 5? So anyone who would like to answer question number 5? We have one answer question number that is option A. Okay. Anyone else would like to answer question number 5? It is right on your screen. Question number 5. Question number 5. So the correct answer for question number 5 is, students, 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978 replaced the term internal disturbance with armed rebellion. Now students, the reason was very simple, because this term internal disturbance was very vague and it was very difficult to conclude that what will amount to internal disturbance. And Indira Gandhi imposed emergency on 25th of January 1975 on the grounds of the internal disturbance. Next important question, 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976 is known as mini constitution. Right. So these are the 2 additional information जो आप याद रख सकते हैं. This is relevant for your examination. Absolutely correct. Anyone who has given the answer as 44th Constitutional Amendment Act is absolutely correct. Now we'll move to question number 6. Under Article 352, what is the strict time window within which both the houses of the parliament must approve the proclamation of a national emergency? Question number 6. It is right in front of your screen. Under Article 352, what is the strict time window within which both houses of parliament must approve the proclamation of a national emergency? Within 1 month, within 2 months, within 6 months, or within 30 days. So for question number 6, students, the correct answer is option 1, within 1 month. Now students, please remember this particular fact as well. There is a difference between There is a difference between 1 month and 30 days, because a month can have 28 days, 29 days, 30 days and 31 days, but 30 days means 30 days. So for the proclamation of the for the approval of the proclamation of national emergency, once the emergency has been proclaimed, it must be approved within a span of 1 month, not 30 days. Please remember this fact. Now we'll move to question number 7. Now we'll move to question number 7. What specific legislative voting threshold is mandatory in each House of Parliament to approve or extend a national emergency under Article 352? First, a simple majority of members present and voting, a majority of the total membership, and a two-thirds majority of members present and voting. Then, the absolute three-fourths majority of the total membership, or a simple majority of the total membership of the House. I'll repeat my question. What specific legislative voting threshold is mandatory in each House of Parliament to approve or extend a national emergency under Article 352? So for question number 7, students, the correct option is option B. You guys were went absolutely silent. For question number 7, the correct option is option B. You need an absolute majority of the total membership and also a two-third majority of the members present and voting uh, to extend the national emergency. Now, moving to question number 8. According to the document, when the first national emergency was proclaimed in October 1962 during the conflict with China, on what exact date was it revoked? Revoked, date of revocation पूछा गया. March 21, 1977, March 27, 1977, June 25, 1975, and January 10, 1968. When the first national emergency was proclaimed in October 1962 during the conflict with China, on what exact date was it revoked? So it was revoked जब इंडो चाइना वॉर स्टार्ट हुआ था. So it was revoked on, it was revoked, मतलब इसको हटा दिया गया था इमरजेंसी को 10 जनवरी 1968 को. अब स्टूडेंट्स एक चीज और याद रखिएगा, एक साथ में दो बार भी नेशनल इमरजेंसी लगाई जा सकती है, मतलब नेशनल इमरजेंसी तो एक ही बार लगेगी, बट ग्राउंड्स दो डिफरेंट हो सकते हैं. जैसे एक्सटर्नल एग्रेशन और आर्म रिबेलियन आर टू ग्राउंड्स फॉर द इम्पोजिशन ऑफ नेशनल इमरजेंसी, और एक साथ में दोनों ग्राउंड्स पर अलग अलग टाइम पर नेशनल इमरजेंसी प्रोक्लेम की जा सकती है अंडर आर्टिकल 352. नाउ दिस इज द थर्ड लास्ट क्वेश्चन. एज ऑफ द पब्लिक as of the public affairs indices recorded in the year 2025, how many total instances of president rule under article 356 have been imposed across India since 1950? 106, 114, 150, 134. सो टिल 2025 अब तक टोटल कितनी बार नेशनल स्टेट इमरजेंसी प्रेसिडेंट रूल लग चुका है? सो फॉर क्वेश्चन नंबर 9 वी हैव फोर ऑप्शंस 106, 114, 150 एंड 134. सो फॉर क्वेश्चन नंबर 9 स्टूडेंट्स, द करेक्ट ऑप्शन इज ऑप्शन डी. 134 इंस्टेंसेस रिकॉर्डेड इंस्टेंसेस हैं जहां पर आर्टिकल 356 के अंडर प्रेसिडेंट रूल इंपोज किया गया है. सो फॉर क्वेश्चन नंबर 9 द करेक्ट ऑप्शन इज ऑप्शन डी. नाउ विल मूव टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 10. Which historical case decided by the Supreme Court in 1994 established that the presidential invocation of Article 356 is subject to judicial review? Keshwananda Bharti versus State of Kerala, Minerva Mills versus Union of India, S.R. Bommai versus Union of India, ADM Jabalpur versus Shivakant Shukla. Anyone who'd like to answer question number 10? Anyone who'd like to answer question number 10? So the correct option for question number 10, the correct option for question number 10 is option C, S.R. Bommai versus Union of India. And this particular judgment is a very milestone when we talk about federalism, when we talk about the central state relation. So question number 10 is the most important one. Now moving on to the last question of the day. Question number 11. Which state in India has the historical distinction of being the very first to come under President's rule under Article 356 in the year 1951? Punjab, Manipur, Rajasthan, or Uttar Pradesh. So you have to tell me which was the first state in India where state emergency was imposed under Article 356. Punjab, Manipur, Rajasthan, or Uttar Pradesh. So for question number 11, The correct option is option A. Punjab was the first state in India where, state emergency was imposed under Article 356. So, this was all about today's session. Thank you so much, guys, for giving your valuable time to us and to our channel. And I hope you would have loved this session. And if you have felt the same, you may like the video, and also you can drop your suggestions and questions in the comment section. I always answer each and every query of the students in the comment section as well. So if you have any doubt or uncertainty, or you are not sure about anything, you just drop your question in the comment section. I will answer that question. Now I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. We'll see you tomorrow sharply at 7:45 in the morning. Till then, just take a good care of yourself and people around you. In CLAT 2027, we still have 170 days, so you can still achieve a lot of things, right? So just keep yourself very consistent. I guess we have not 170, we have 181 days, right? Keep yourself very consistent, very disciplined, and it's all about next 6 months. And it's a very, it's a very small investment of time, and the rewards are very high. So anyone who wants to go to like any of the NLUs, just start giving your 100%, and 100% is more than enough, right? So on that note, we'll wrap up today's session. Just one that one basic thought. जब आंखों में अरमान लिया, मंजिल को अपना मान लिया, फिर मुश्किल क्या और आशा क्या, जो ठान लिया वो ठान लिया. So if you have decided that you will crack this exam, we'll crack it together. We are there for you to help you at every point of time. And on that note, we'll wrap up today's session. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.